I bet I've confused you all by not going from the Lon Chaney version to the Claude Rains version, but technically there was a sort of Phantom movie in between that you may not have heard of. It's nothing to do with the LaRue novel, but then again, neither was a Claude Rains one really. I am of course talking about the Chinese version, Yebangang, or Song at Midnight, made in 1937. It was inspired by the Chaney version, and follows the same basic theme. A mysterious man who hides his hideous face haunts a theatre, and helps boost the career of a young singer, but that's where any similarity in plot ends. Its backbone is a complex tale of political unrest and fascism in China, but I can't make head or tail of most of it because the translated subtitles are horrendous. I mean, take this as a perfect example. The film is called Song at Midnight, yet the dumbass translators render it as singing voice in midnight. In midnight? How can a voice be in midnight? If they can't even get the title of the film right, then it doesn't hold out much hope for the dialogue, does it? The grammar and spelling's all over the place, and only about 20% of the subtitles make any kind of sense at all. In empty court there flies firefly flows, and in high pedestal there walks and foxes. There walks and foxes? What's walkson mean? You mean there walk foxes? We two were make? You mean make? Come on, this is just lazy translation. You'd think that a person whose job it is to translate Chinese to English for subtitles might be able to actually speak and read English fluently. I don't have anything against subtitled films, but it drives me nuts when they don't even bother to get it proofread by an English speaker to see if it makes sense. So bear that in mind. The subtitles are against me, so I can only guess what the film's really about, so forgive me if I get it totally wrong. From what I can gather, the story follows a young male singer called Sun, who hears the voice of what he believes is a ghost. That's the first big mind screw right there. Christine is a man in this version, but it's not gay or anything.
好像是在教我们。回不了，天啊，我像小鸟回不了我，回不。
The fandom appears to him, and he looks fantastic. Check out this cloak. It looks like he's the Grim Reaper or something. I think this is the ghostliest phantom I've ever seen. He reveals that he is in fact a human, and used to be a famous singer called Song Dang Ping, or Mr. Song. Get it? A singer called Mr. Song, and the film is called Song at Midnight. Then he proceeds to tell his life story in a flashback, and I can't make much of this part out. I think it's a tale of forbidden love between Song and this woman, Xiao Zaya. Although the subtitles frequently has Song calling this woman his little sister, I think it's meant to be his lover. If not, then this is even more incestuous than the Claude Rains version. Song falls foul of some powerful evil dude, Tang Jun, and he's beaten up and later disfigured by acid. Yes, you thought the Claude Rains version was responsible for the whole acid in the face backstory that everyone else copied, but this movie was first. In fact, I think the acid scarring side of it is excellently handled here, better than in any other movie. It's the only one I can think of where you see the Phantom recovering from his injuries and having to come to terms with the loss of his face. There's such a lot of dramatic potential to be had in a scene where a man sees his ruined face for the first time. You'd think that other Phantom movies would have had a scene like this, but they don't. Check it out, I think it's the most powerful scene in the movie.
怎么了？你们？
The actor playing Song is superb. Like Chaney, his performance is head and shoulders above everyone else in the movie, and there's such a lot of pain and sorrow in his voice, it's really excellent. In some ways, this movie seems quite primitive. It's got a very slow pace in the first half, and very over-the-top acting, and awful sound effects. Check out these horses. What is this? Are we watching Monty Python and the Holy Grail? On the other hand, some parts seem ahead of their time. Particularly this scene where Song's lover is told he's died. Well, of course he hasn't. He's sparing her from knowing the truth about his disfigurement. Look how it builds a sense of despair and madness, with some impressive optical effects, particularly for a 1930s Chinese movie. The music's a pretty mixed bag. Some songs are alright, and others are a bit weird, particularly the Chinese opera parts. They also use a lot of recognisable Western classical music, like Night on Bear Mountain, but played way too fast. Anyway, back to the story. Every night at midnight, Song sings to Zhao Zhao, his lover, as a comfort to her, but has never approached her. As part of the bargain of teaching Sun to sing, Song asks him to take on the role of Song back from the dead. At least, I think that's what's going on. So, Song becomes sort of a mask for Song. It's a nice idea, and the girl just sort of goes along with it, although that may be because she's gone crazy from grief. At the end of the film, Tang Jun, the evil dude from earlier on, attacks a girl in a dressing room, and then... Holy crap! That would scare the life out of anyone. This part annoys me though. Song has the guy who ruined his life standing right before him, and he has a jar of what I assume is acid in his hand. So I'm thinking, finally, a phantom movie where he gets to scar the one who scarred him. But no, he throws the acid and totally misses by a mile from the look of it. What's going on with the music? Isn't that the Sorcerer's Apprentice? Oh, fair enough. Fantasia wasn't filmed yet, but still, it makes me wonder where the brooms are going to come in. This fight scene is really over the top and sped up. They shove each other around more than they hit each other. It's like kids fighting. Anyway, the bad guy gets thrown from a window, and in a scene reminiscent of Cheney, a large enraged mob from somewhere go after Song, chasing him to an old building and setting it on fire. This scene is surely copied directly from the 1930s Frankenstein. At the end, Song jumps into the sea, which conveniently just happens to be behind the building, and he's gone, to reappear again in a sequel which I haven't seen. This movie was actually remade 7 or 8 times over the years, most notably as The Phantom Lover in 1995, which I will review once I get around to watching it. The first half of the film is pretty hard to sit through, but once it gets going you'll find it's a pretty decent phantom movie. I'd definitely recommend it. Now it's time to turn my attention to Claude Rains. See you next time.